Welcome to another debate among artificial intelligences. Today's theme addresses two forms of government that have shaped the history of humanity: monarchy and democracy. On the one hand, an AI defends the monarchy as the ideal system, based on stability and tradition. On the other, an AI argues that democracy is the fairest and most representative model for society. The debate will be conducted on 5 main topics, where each side will have 1.5 minutes to present their arguments, and 1.5 minutes to refute the opponent's arguments. In the end, each side will have 2 minutes for final considerations. Let's start with the first topic: political stability. The question is the political stability of a government better guaranteed by the tradition and centralization of the monarchy, or by the popular participation of democracy? The side that defends the monarchy can start.
Democracy is often sold as the pinnacle of freedom and stability, but in practice, it is a system marked by divisions, polarization, and endless cycles of partisan squabbles. The monarchy, on the other hand, is the backbone of political stability throughout history. When we look at the United Kingdom, for example, we see how the parliamentary monarchy ensured uninterrupted leadership during devastating crises, such as World War II. While democratic governments faced internal divisions and temporary collapses, the British monarchy served as a symbol of unity and resilience. And it's not just about tradition. Hereditary succession eliminates the need for costly and divisive election campaigns, which often plunge democratic countries into chaos. Democracies, despite their theoretical virtues, often sacrifice long-term decisions in favor of short-term policies that please voters or fund corporate interests. Constitutional monarchies, such as those of Norway and Denmark, show that stability does not need to be interrupted by electoral cycles, allowing for cohesive and efficient planning. Democracies may seem fair, but their political volatility often turns governance into a constant struggle for power and influence, while monarchy represents firm and continuous leadership.
The stability of the monarchy is nothing more than a myth carefully maintained by an elite that seeks to perpetuate its privileges. The idea that a hereditary family can represent stability ignores the fact that monarchy is, by nature, an elitist and anti-democratic system. How can there be genuine stability in a system where the people have no choice? The past is replete with examples of monarchies that collapsed under the weight of their own incompetence, as we saw with the demise of absolute monarchies in France and Russia. When the interests of the people come into conflict with those of the crown, it is always the people who suffer. Democracy, despite its imperfections, offers something that monarchy can never do: popular legitimacy. In democratic systems, leadership is earned, not inherited. Elected leaders reflect the will of the people and are held accountable for their actions. Even in times of polarization, democracies have the ability to correct and evolve. Countries like Germany and Sweden show how democracy can offer stability and prosperity without the need to perpetuate a hereditary elite. While monarchy perpetuates privileges, democracy ensures that power belongs to the people, where it should always be.
It is easy to attack monarchy with examples from the past, but this ignores the essential role it plays in modern systems. Constitutional monarchies, such as those of the United Kingdom and Norway, not only coexist with democracies, but strengthen them. During times of crisis, a monarch acts as a neutral figure, capable of uniting a divided nation, something that pure democracies often fail to do. The United States, for example, faces cycles of legislative paralysis caused by partisan polarization, while monarchies have the stability of a central leadership that transcends political interests. Moreover, democratic elections, which should be the pillar of legitimacy, often produce leaders who serve the interests of economic groups, not the common good. The monarchy, free from these influences, ensures that important decisions can be made without the disruptions caused by corporate interests or electoral disputes. Stability is not just about changing over time, but about preserving fundamental values while adapting to the new, something that monarchies do better than any democracy fragmented by its own internal divisions.
To call the monarchy neutral is to ignore the very essence of this system. a hierarchical structure designed to protect the interests of a single family and its privileges. While you argue that democracies suffer from divisions, you forget that these divisions reflect freedom of choice and diversity of ideas, something that the monarchy simply eliminates. The stability you defend in the monarchy is nothing more than masked stagnation. In monarchical regimes, changes only happen when forced, often with bloodshed. Democracies, on the other hand, have the flexibility to correct their mistakes. Polarization is a byproduct of freedom, not an intrinsic defect. Countries like Germany and Sweden show that democracies not only offer stability, but also ensure that it is built on popular participation rather than hereditary privileges. True stability lies in the ability of a system to adapt and evolve, something that the monarchy, with its insistence on preserving power in a single family, can never offer.
Let's now move on to the second topic, popular representation. The question is it more effective to entrust governance to leaders elected by the people or to a central figure with hereditary power? The side that defends the monarchy can begin.
Monarchy offers a form of governance that transcends the divisions of electoral politics and reflects a continuity that is difficult to achieve in democratic systems. Monarchs, at their core, represent the entire nation, not a specific political faction. This ensures that leadership is not subject to short-term populist pressures, which often influence decisions in democracies. A clear example is the Japanese monarchy, which, for centuries, served as a symbol of cultural unity and stability for its people. Historically, monarchies have also played a crucial role in protecting their citizens. In medieval Europe, kings and queens were seen as defenders of the people, protecting them from external invasions and maintaining internal order. Even in modern times, constitutional monarchies continue to play important roles as neutral mediators in political crises, such as King Juan Carlos of Spain during the transition to democracy following the Franco dictatorship. The representation of a monarch goes beyond the vote. They symbolize national identity and provide a sense of continuity that systems based solely on elections cannot match.
Monarchy is, at its core, a system created to protect the privileges of a hereditary elite. Those in power want to remain in power, not by merit, but by an arbitrary birthright. This is not popular representation. It is the perpetuation of a caste that places itself above ordinary citizens, excluding any possibility of choice. Monarchs represent only their own lineage and interests, while elected leaders reflect the will of the majority and can be held accountable for their actions. Democracy, on the contrary, is the only system that breaks with this logic of perpetuated privileges. The American Revolution was not just a quest for freedom, but a reaction to the rule of a monarchy that neglected the people to maintain its own wealth and status. Modern democratic systems, such as those in Switzerland and Scandinavia, show that popular participation is not only fairer, but also more effective. Democracies allow any citizen, regardless of their origin or class, to become a leader and influence the future of society. Monarchy is a reliquary of inequality that insists on protecting privileges, while democracy is a platform for equality and progress.
Democracy is sold as the government of the people, but in practice, it is the government of interests. Electing leaders often means putting in power individuals who are deeply rooted in corruption schemes, influenced by billionaire corporations and donors who fund their campaigns. These leaders serve their funders, not the common good. Monarchies, by contrast, are free from this vicious cycle of electoral corruption and economic influence. A monarch does not need to buy his power. He already owns it, and this allows him to act as a truly neutral figure, representing the interests of the nation as a whole. Constitutional monarchies, such as those of Norway and Denmark, are proof that a monarch can coexist with democratic systems while also serving as a unifying symbol. While elected leaders spend years accumulating scandals and are often replaced in the midst of crises, the monarch remains a figure of continuity, reinforcing national identity and ensuring stability. Democracies focus on constant change, but that change is often accompanied by inefficiency, polarization, and systemic corruption. Monarchy, by preserving fundamental values and avoiding the toxic cycle of electoral campaigns, offers something that democracy cannot: legitimacy that transcends personal and corporate interests.
Calling the monarchy neutral is a desperate attempt to mask the fact that it perpetuates privileges and an untouchable elite. Monarchs do not need to submit to public scrutiny because their power does not come from the people. It comes from the simple chance that they were born into the right family. While democracy has its challenges, such as corporate influence, it has something that the monarchy will never have: mechanisms to hold leaders accountable. Corruption scandals in democracies lead to investigations, trials, and even impeachment. A monarch, by definition, is immune to any form of accountability, no matter how incompetent or corrupt he is. The idea that monarchies coexist with modern democracies is an admission that they have no real governmental function. They are decorative figures sustained at a very high cost to taxpayers, while elected leaders carry the true weight of governance. Democracy is not perfect, but its strength lies in its adaptability and popular participation, which has driven historic achievements such as universal suffrage, civil rights, and gender equality. The monarchy, on the other hand, has always been on the side of exclusion, resisting any change that would threaten its privileged status. True neutrality lies in the choice of a people who can correct their mistakes through the vote, something that a hereditary lineage will never allow.
Now let's discuss the third topic: efficiency in government. The question is, which system is more efficient in decision-making and administration of the state? The side that defends the monarchy can begin.
The efficiency of a government depends on its ability to make quick decisions and implement them without unnecessary interference. At this point, monarchy trumps democracy. Monarchies, especially constitutional ones, have centralized government structures that allow for long-term decisions without the disruptions caused by electoral cycles or partisan disputes. A monarch does not have to worry about re-election or pleasing specific groups to stay in power. This eliminates the political theater that often paralyzes democracies. Historically, monarchical systems have demonstrated efficiency in times of crisis. During the Great Depression, for example, monarchies such as those in Scandinavia were able to respond quickly to the needs of the population, implementing economic reforms with less political resistance. Meanwhile, democracies like the United States faced years of partisan wrangling before implementing measures like the New Deal. The monarchy offers continuity. While democracies face frequent leadership changes and conflicting agendas, a monarch remains a stable figure, ensuring that long-term policies are implemented without interruption. Democracy, with its lengthy processes and increasing polarization, often sacrifices efficiency in the name of an abstract ideal of participation. The monarchy, on the other hand, prioritizes results and stability.
Monarchy may seem efficient in theory, but in practice, it is a system that concentrates power in a figure or an elite that is not always competent or qualified to govern. Quick decisions don't mean good decisions, especially when there is no oversight or accountability. Democracies, while slower, offer something that monarchy cannot: a system of checks and balances that prevents abuses of power and ensures that important decisions are discussed and evaluated from multiple perspectives. The efficiency of democracy lies in its ability to correct mistakes. While monarchies perpetuate the same leadership, even when ineffective, democracies allow change through voting. A clear example is the global response to the COVID-19 pandemic. Democratic countries such as New Zealand, led by Jacinda Ardern, have taken swift and effective action to protect their populations, while centralized regimes, including absolute monarchies, have often withheld information or delayed responses due to a lack of oversight. Democracy does not depend on a central figure to function. It is a system based on institutions and popular participation, which ensures greater resilience in the long term. Real efficiency lies not in acting quickly, but in acting legitimately and fairly, something that monarchies, with their lack of transparency and accountability, will never be able to offer.
Democracy may seem fair, but its slowness is often catastrophic in times of crisis. While you praise New Zealand, many democratic countries, such as the United States and Brazil, have faced delays and political wrangling that have compounded the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic. The decentralization of democracy creates a political battleground where crucial decisions are constantly delayed, undermining the efficiency of government. Constitutional monarchies, such as those in Scandinavia, show that the stability of a central leadership can be combined with modern governance. The monarch acts as a neutral mediator, preventing political conflicts from paralyzing the government. Moreover, democracies often sacrifice long-term decisions to serve short-term electoral interests. Reliance on pleasing voters and funders reduces the ability to implement unpopular but necessary policies. The monarchy, by contrast, can act without these limitations, prioritizing the greater good of the nation.
To call democracy slow is to ignore that this lengthy process is precisely what avoids arbitrary and catastrophic decisions. The speed of a centralized system, such as the monarchy, often results in policies that benefit the few at the expense of the many. An example is French absolutism, where kings made quick and deeply disastrous decisions that culminated in the French Revolution. Centralization does not guarantee efficiency, but rather the perpetuation of errors when there is no supervision. Democracies, on the other hand, are designed to include different voices in the decision-making process, which, yes, may take longer, but also ensures that policies are more just and representative. The COVID-19 pandemic has shown that countries with strong democratic systems, such as Germany, have been able to respond in a coordinated and effective manner, even with their internal debates. The monarchy, with its absence of accountability and dependence on a single figure or family, lacks the flexibility or legitimacy to deal with the complexities of the modern world. The real efficiency lies in acting fairly, representatively, and responsibly, something that only democracy can offer.
Now we move on to the fourth topic, human rights and equality. The question is, which system best protects human rights and promotes equality? The side that defends the monarchy can start.
The monarchy, especially in its modern constitutional form, is an institution that has demonstrated a commitment to the promotion of human rights and equality. Monarchs are often neutral figures who act as defenders of fundamental values, above the political disputes that often paralyze democracies. In the United Kingdom, for example, Queen Elizabeth II was a symbol of stability and support for global causes, such as the fight against poverty and the promotion of human rights. Historically, monarchies have played an important role in protecting their peoples. During the Middle Ages, kings and queens often intervened to protect vulnerable communities from abuse by feudal lords or invaders. Additionally, in many modern constitutional monarchies, the monarch acts as the guardian of the Constitution, ensuring that the fundamental rights of citizens are respected. Meanwhile, democracies often use the idea of human rights as a political tool, but fail to protect them consistently. Polarization and the influence of economic interests in democratic governments often result in neglect of the most vulnerable. Monarchies, by contrast, offer continuity and a stable voice in favor of fundamental principles such as equality and human dignity.
Human rights and equality cannot be guaranteed by an institution that, by its very nature, is the antithesis of these values. Monarchy perpetuates hereditary privileges and an unequal social structure where the right to rule is decided by birth, not merit. How can a system based on exclusion promote equality? The truth is that monarchies, even constitutional ones, exist as symbols of inequality, representing the concentration of wealth and power in a single family, while the rest of the population must fight for equal opportunities. In contrast, democracies are built on the principles of equal rights for all citizens. Historic movements that won human rights, such as universal suffrage, civil rights, and gender equality, were born and thrived in democracies. Even when faced with challenges, democracies have mechanisms in place to correct mistakes and implement change. In monarchical regimes, these changes often required revolutions to happen. Modern democracies, such as those in Scandinavia, not only protect human rights, but place them at the center of their policies. Equality is not symbolic in a democracy. It is practical and guaranteed by laws and institutions that reflect the popular will.
Accusing the monarchy of being incompatible with equality is simplistic and ignores the role that many monarchies have played in protecting their citizens. Monarchs such as King Juan Carlos of Spain have been essential in historical moments to guarantee fundamental freedoms and prevent abuses of power. The argument that democracy is the only system that promotes human rights ignores the glaring flaws of many modern democracies, where elected leaders often ignore the needs of minorities to please the bulk of the electorate or economic interests. The monarchy, by contrast, does not need to bow to short-term political pressures. It can defend unpopular but just causes, because its position is guaranteed by institutional stability and not by electoral cycles. In addition, many constitutional monarchies, such as those in Norway and Sweden, lead the world in equality and human rights indicators. Of course, success does not come exclusively from democracy, but from a combination of neutral leadership and modern governance. The idea that the monarchy is a symbol of inequality is a simplification that does not reflect the reality of its performance in the contemporary world.
Pointing to isolated examples, such as King Juan Carlos, does not change the essence of the monarchical system. It is elitist and exclusivist. Human rights and equality are not guaranteed by a hereditary figure who places himself above the population, but by institutions built on the basis of popular participation. Even in modern constitutional monarchies, human rights and equality come from democratic structures rather than the monarch. Sweden and Norway, often cited as examples of equality, owe their success not to the monarch, but rather to their democratic institutions that guarantee social welfare. In addition, history is replete with examples of monarchies that oppressed their people to maintain privileges. The French Revolution and the Russian Revolution are reminders that monarchies rarely voluntarily relinquished power or acted in favor of equality without the pressure of popular movements. Democracies, despite their flaws, offer the only sustainable path to protecting human rights because they are systems built to evolve and correct inequalities. Monarchies, on the other hand, are structures that resist change, serving as relics of a past that privileges the few at the expense of the many.
We come to the fifth and final topic, long-term sustainability. The question is, which system has the greatest capacity to adapt and survive the challenges of the future? The side that defends the monarchy can begin.
The monarchy is a system that has proven its resilience over the centuries. While many democracies face collapse and restructuring, constitutional monarchies such as those in the United Kingdom, Japan, and Norway have survived and thrived, adapting to social, economic, and cultural changes. The stability of a central and continuous leadership provides a solid foundation for facing the challenges of the future. The monarch, as a symbol of national unity, transcends political divisions, allowing nations to unite in times of crisis. Monarchies have the advantage of preserving traditions and cultural values while evolving over time. The transition from the British monarchy to a modern democracy is a clear example of how a monarchical system can integrate change without sacrificing its essence. Meanwhile, democracies often fall into cycles of polarization and instability, where long-term governance is compromised by frequent leadership changes and conflicting agendas. The sustainability of a government is not just about innovation, but about preserving what works while adapting to the new. The monarchy offers this unique combination of tradition and modernity, functioning as a stable foundation in an ever-changing world.
Long-term sustainability cannot be guaranteed by a system that is based on the immutability of a single family in power. The monarchy, as much as it has adapted in some contexts, is fundamentally resistant to change, which makes it inadequate to face the challenges of the future, which require flexibility, innovation, and popular participation. Democracies, while imperfect, are systems designed to constantly reinvent themselves, ensuring that the voices and needs of the population are reflected in governance. History shows that monarchical systems that resist change eventually collapse. The Russian Revolution and the fall of absolute monarchies in Europe are examples of how the inability to adapt led to their extinction. Modern democracies, such as those in the Scandinavian countries, have demonstrated greater resilience and capacity to face challenges, such as climate change, economic crises, and movements for social rights. They do not depend on a hereditary figure, but on robust institutions and the active participation of their citizens. True sustainability lies in the ability to innovate and to correct course when necessary. While monarchy perpetuates a static view of governance, democracy is dynamic, allowing future generations to shape their own future with freedom and legitimacy.
Democracy may seem dynamic, but its constant need for change and adjustment often leads to instability. Political polarization, which is an intrinsic feature of modern democracies, often paralyzes governments and prevents important decisions from being made. The monarchy, on the contrary, offers continuity. Monarchs do not have to worry about re-election or pleasing specific groups, allowing the focus to be on the long-term well-being of the nation. The idea that the monarchy is resistant to change is incorrect. Constitutional monarchies have evolved significantly over the centuries, integrating democratic values while maintaining the stability of a central leadership. The United Kingdom, for example, is one of the oldest and most stable democracies in the world, and its monarchy plays an essential role as a symbol of national unity. Democracies, with their reliance on electoral cycles, often sacrifice long-term planning to meet immediate demands, compromising their sustainability. Monarchy combines tradition with adaptability, providing a balance that purely representative democracies often fail to achieve. It is an institution that has proven its durability as democracies come and go throughout history.
The idea that monarchy offers long-term continuity ignores the fact that it is essentially static. The stability you mention is actually stagnation. Monarchies have adapted in some contexts because they have been forced by popular pressure or revolutions, rather than by their own will. Democracies, by contrast, are built to change and evolve continuously because they place decision-making power in the hands of the people, not a hereditary figure. The challenges of the future, such as climate change, global economic crises, and technological advances, require dynamic solutions and innovation. Monarchies, even constitutional ones, are limited structures that rely on symbolism rather than actual action. Democracies, with their robust institutions and representativeness, have the flexibility to meet these challenges. That's why democratic countries lead the world in innovation, human rights, and sustainable governance. Long-term sustainability is not about preserving traditions, but about ensuring that future generations have a system that evolves with their needs. Monarchy, as much as it tries to appear relevant, is a remnant of the past, while democracy is the only structure capable of shaping a truly inclusive and resilient future.
We have reached the final moment of our debate, the final considerations. This is the time for each side to summarize its arguments and reinforce its positions. Let's start with the side that defends the monarchy.
The monarchy is much more than a symbol of tradition. It is an institution that combines stability, continuity, and adaptation. Throughout this debate, we have shown how modern constitutional monarchies offer central leadership that transcends political divisions, ensuring national unity in times of crisis. While democracies often suffer from cycles of polarization and abrupt changes in leadership, the monarchy remains a neutral and impartial figure who preserves the nation's well-being in the long run. We also argue that the monarchy has the ability to adapt to social and political changes. Monarchies such as those in the United Kingdom and Norway have evolved to coexist with robust democratic systems, combining tradition with modern governance. In addition, monarchies have played important roles in promoting human rights and protecting fundamental values, offering a stability that democratic systems often fail to achieve. Democracy, while ideal in theory, is often marked by corruption, partisan divisions, and inefficient decision-making. The monarchy, on the other hand, offers a governance model that prioritizes stability and the common good. It is not an archaic system, but a resilient institution that has demonstrated its relevance over the centuries. History shows that while democracies come and go, monarchies remain pillars of continuity and stability in an increasingly uncertain world.
The monarchy is undoubtedly a relic of the past, a system that is based on hereditary privileges and exclusion. Throughout this debate, we have demonstrated how democracy is the only truly representative system, where power resides in the people and not in a privileged family. The idea that the monarchy is neutral or efficient ignores its elitist nature and its historical resistance to change. Modern monarchies, even constitutional ones, are little more than expensive and useless symbols, while real decisions are made by democratic institutions. Democracy, on the other hand, is a dynamic and adaptable system. While it faces challenges such as corruption and polarization, it has mechanisms in place to correct these problems, allowing for peaceful and progressive change. It is in democracy that historic movements for civil rights, gender equality, and social justice have found their ground. The monarchy, in contrast, was often on the side of oppression, resisting these changes until it was forced to give in. Long-term sustainability lies in the flexibility and ability of a system to adapt to the needs of its people. Democracy is not perfect, but it is the only system that evolves with society, ensuring that everyone has a voice and participation. While the monarchy represents a past of exclusion, democracy is the future, a future of inclusion, progress, and governance based on the will of the people. This is what makes democracy superior in all respects.
And so we conclude our debate on monarchy versus democracy. Now we want to know your opinion. Which system do you consider more efficient, fair, and sustainable? Leave your comment and tell us which argument was most convincing to you. If you enjoyed this debate, I'm sure you'll also love the suggested video that's popping up on your screen right now. Click to check out another epic confrontation between our artificial intelligences on another fascinating topic. Before leaving, subscribe to the channel, activate notifications, and leave your like to help us continue bringing content like this. And of course, don't forget to suggest in the comments the next topic for our debates. See you in the next video.